Hey you guys, and welcome to my book buying habit discussion thing. So you guys know that I used to do like Book Haul Monday all the time. Some of you, or if you're like newer or maybe just got there in the middle and you're like, what is this chick doing? I'll start off from the beginning. So I used to buy like a load of books. Maybe some people still think I do, but I didn't buy as much as I used to. Like eBay was a real problem. So was Amazon's bargain bin when it was like really good. But before, like especially pre-booktube, YouTube in general, I'll say, or just pre-internet, I used to read a whole lot more than I do now. I used to read and buy and borrow from the library all the time, and I used to keep up with what I was reading, and then I would never actually send like anything back to the library that I hadn't read. Like I just read it, like even if I like hated it at that point, like I never set it down, just read it straight through, get on to the other one and stuff like that. So like I used to really keep up with all the things that between buying and borrowing that I used to. Now there came a point where I was buying a whole lot, so I didn't use the library as much, and when I did, I noticed that once or twice I wouldn't like read a book that I got from the library, and then when I started to return them late sometimes, that's when I decided not to like borrow really, unless I really needed like a certain book that I haven't bought yet or couldn't buy or stuff like that. So just kind of sensible stuff like that. So then I was buying a whole lot, but I was still keeping up with what I was buying, and so that was great. And then I would occasionally borrow from the library, whether it was at that time a school library or just a public library in general. And then it just came to a point where I was just buying like a whole lot, especially with the online came in and I didn't have to wait to go to Barnes and Nobles or anything, and then it was cheaper, so then I could buy more. And then eBay was like had really insane great deals that I could find more back then, and it was like for a whole series which I could just marathon and stuff like that, and it was just like great. But at the same time that eBay was really starting off for me, like I joined BookTube not too long later. And at that point, like I had like just a channel just for like all the BookTube subscriptions that I was just going through, which a lot of people have stopped since then, and otherwise I've been really trying to limit like how many people I'm subscribed to, because at one point it was just so crazy. I would be literally watching BookTube almost all the time and then trying to read at the same time and do the videos and still like just have a life outside of that. So there was that, but I was still sort of managing. But then there came a point where I was like doing a book haul like every other day, even though I probably could have been doing like one every day, twice a day. So then I started Book Haul Monday to just have like it all on one day and just try to go through like that steadily bigger pile of books that I was getting. And at the same time, around that time, a little later, I like started being like, ke-sha, you need to check yourself, because you haven't been reading as much as you used to, which isn't a bad thing, but that just means all these books are piling up and you're not reading them all. So then I had like more talks with myself, like that's not me sounding insane or anything. But so I checked my book buying, as you guys have imagined probably. That's why I'm probably like on Book Haul 100 and something maybe. I used to actually try to keep a playlist, but I need to go through that playlist and then add all the other ones, because I think I stopped around like Book Haul 50. So I really want to complete that, but I'll leave a link of the playlist right now just in case if anybody wants to see some older ones and maybe go back, see what I was buying, and maybe comment and think if you guys see if I could read it or not, if you guys think I should read it right away. So there was that. So that's why I've just been buying less and less and less, and I did really well. I started just calling it like buy less, read more, so which is just really sort of my motto. And this year was really my best year, I feel like, for just buying less, and less physical books was like my main goal. So I still bought like quite a few books, but a lot of them were on my Kindle, and there were like deals, and like a few audiobooks were thrown in there. So there was that. So I really been doing great with that, but I still haven't been doing great with, I feel like, my read more, which is why my book Goodreads goal is always at 100 minimum, I say, because I always feel like I should read at least 100 books, and hopefully a lot of those will be like physical books, so that is a thing. I actually try to use my library overdrive for like a combination of reasons. So I won't like read, like if I want to read a book but I don't want to buy it necessarily, I can just read it from there on my Kindle. Or if I want to read a book but I didn't want to carry the book around, like The Name of the Wind, I got it from my library even though I own the physical book, but then hey, that's a physical book down. So I've started doing that sometimes, so that's really been going great for my book buying. I slightly tried to do Project 10 this year. I read like 10 of my own books. I meant to do just purely physical books, but by the time I got to book 10, I really just wanted to make an order of books that had accumulated, and it had like a really great combination of books that I wanted from my thrift books, if you guys saw my last book haul. So I just went ahead and bought those first 6 books, and I didn't want to have to feel like anything about it. Like it wasn't like everyone's like, you know that Project 10 is free 10 buy 1, and I'm like, yeah, that's just not going to work out, especially if I feel like a great combination of deals. But as you guys have noticed, I haven't been buying a lot of book outlet hauls as much anymore, even though like my book outlet cart is forever full, and I'm just like, no. And I'm reading a lot of stuff in the meantime, so hopefully by the next sale I can actually make an order and stuff. And I just have to constantly look at my bookshelves and remind myself that I have a lot of unread books that I still really want to read. So that's always something that you got to remind yourself of, I feel like, when you're trying to buy less and stuff like that. Or if you guys have any tips and tricks, just let me know. But that's basically just what I've been doing, if you guys are ever wondering how Book Haul Monday came around, and really why it just kind of have tethered off, basically because I haven't been buying as much anymore, which is a great thing. And if you guys want, I'll link my my Goodreads 2015 and 2016 shelves, because on those shelves are the books that I bought in that year. And I say buy as in like, there are not all the books that I got that year, but I don't count like birthday books or anything. But anything that I spent like money on, like even if it was just from the library for 25 cents, those are on those lists. So I had to pay money for it in order for it to actually, like, yeah, because I get a lot of free Kindle books, and of course my birthdays and stuff like that, they count. They don't count, so that's why. And you will see that there's still like a pretty penny of books, especially for 2015, because I was doing comic bento, which I should really film a video of the last few ones that I got that I never showed you guys. So then each comic was counted separately on there. So, or sometimes like I'll buy like a Kindle box set, but I'll break it up into 3 different books because I know that's how I'm going to read it. So sometimes it probably wasn't as much as it seemed, but at the same time, there's quite a few books that I have, that I own, that I haven't read, and I just have to remind myself. But of course I also didn't want to stop myself from buying new books. Like I know there's some auto-buy authors like with Jim Butcher and Laurel K. Hamilton and Rick Riordan, and which are all pre-orders. And then there are a few books that I really want to get to that I pre-ordered once in a while. I mean, during 2015 I didn't really have pre-orders as much anymore. That was the year I first experimented with like not doing pre-orders. Well, technically the year before that, that's only because I went like pre-order crazy and I literally had a list each month. So that year I was just like, no. So this year is kind of like a mix between like, I have a few pre-orders, most of them were later in the month, and yeah, just like I know those are the books that I'm going to get to and stuff like that. So book buying has gone down. Reading, I want to go up, but I meant like when I say reading, my physical book reading, because I've been reading a lot of fan fiction and stuff like that, and I'm fine with that as well. Like it's not like really a thing. As long as I'm reading, I'm fine. Okay, as long as something is entertaining me. But I do really want to read more of the books that I have, and some of them I have been like getting slowly off my shelf. I did like huge unhauls that I never filmed of like a lot of romance novels, because there was a point where, if you guys have ever been into like Harlequin, Silhouette, Nora Roberts, stuff like that, you'll know what I'm saying when you can just accumulate those like crazy. And there was a point where I had like tons of them. I still probably have more than an average person, but a lot of them have been gone. I need my sister to like take some of the ones that she wanted. Like I have like 5 boxes, and I'm like, do you want me to send these to you? Yes, no, yes. I think she wants me to wait on that. So that's just kind of collecting dust, but a majority of them have been left and gone, and that was like, oh, but at the same time I'm like, it just needed to be done. Or like some books where I was just like, I can read this from the library. I didn't really need to own it, but I got it for cheap just so I could like be on my own timeline when I read it. So there is that. And sometimes also when people say use your library, sometimes my library doesn't just have a book and I want to read that book. And if I find it for cheap, especially on Book Outlet, like I'll buy it, and then if I don't end up liking it, it's probably going to languish here for a while. But I've been trying to give those up, which is hard, especially if I like a cover and I think the book is dumb. But I'm trying. So you guys let me know down below, like, how is book buying with you guys? Did you guys ever feel like you bought too many, too little, to anything? Let me know about any comments that you guys want to make regarding book buying. I always say, like, you have to do you. Like, you don't have to keep up with your reading or anything. I just felt like for me and my space and my time and stuff, that's what I needed to do. But don't ever let anybody tell you like what you need to do unless it's like a physical safety concern. I feel like if you got into like a hoarding problem where they're like you're tripping over stacks all the time and like you think you're gonna like a stack is gonna fall on you in your sleep, you may need to step back and think about that for a little while. But like otherwise, I just try to do me and not anything else. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.